Hey, what's going on YouTube? Millennial Trader here from the Millennial Trader YouTube channel. Today is February 24th, 2025. Is there more downside ahead in the crypto markets? Today we're going to be looking at 5 coins: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Litecoin, Avax. I'll give you my initial thoughts in terms of what's happening right now. Where do I potentially see us going in the next few weeks? And what could potentially develop to halt or continue the bullish momentum? And with that, we'll get right into the charts. All right, so with every video, I like to just quickly preface the fact that I use a combination of traditional technical analysis tools. I use a Far East indicator called Ichimoku Clouds, and I use an institutional model that isn't publicly available without paying a significant monthly premium to the service. So with that, let's get right into the charts. Okay, so for Bitcoin, as I previously mentioned in the last video, I said this 95,731 level was and is an important support that if we get continuation to the downside, then that would suggest to me that this 9 and 13 sequential indicator back here in late November, early December was in fact the signal for you to exit your long positions after having consolidated for effectively 3 months. So right now, we broke this level. We're getting some pretty decent volume to the downside. And so assuming that we hold this level for the rest of the week, and next week we continue to see follow through, then that would suggest to me that you no longer want to be looking bullish Bitcoin. And in fact, you could potentially start to consider shorting Bitcoin all the way to this support, this hidden support level down here of 82,351. And this level was or is an important level of hidden support that was developed by Tom DeMark. You can go about reading about him and the indicator itself called propulsion, and it's essentially the thrust of the market in a particular direction, in this case to the downside, where it would potentially act as meaningful support. The fact that we closed below this 95,731 and the fact that we're on a -3 of 9 count potentially indicates that we have an additional 6 more weeks of downside momentum to consider and potentially think about exiting long positions. Now, 1 week isn't going to indicate that this is the top for Bitcoin, but it does have me looking cautiously in terms of putting on new positions. And in fact, I actually exited this my current holdings of Bitcoin once we exceeded 95,000. So I gave it, a couple $100 of wiggle room, and I would rather play on the side of caution than be a hero and continue to hold. And I would be happy and in fact willing to put on new exposure at 82,351. In fact, if I'm looking at this on the daily time frame, I would actually start to nibble in and around here at this $89,000 level, because risk reward you're effectively buying at levels that haven't been seen in over 3 months, and essentially you've trapped. There are 3 months worth of trapped buyers up here that risk reward. It's not a bad idea to start averaging in, with the ultimate goal of putting on a full position. Let me just fix these charts right here at this 82,351. And I say that because I have a subsequent indicator called absolute retracement, measuring from the all-time high. It's an indicator based on Fibonacci that Tom DeMark developed. The measurement is objective, and each of these levels are playing off of Fibonacci numbers. So for me, the first area of support that I would potentially want to be looking at as stepping in to buy is at this 82,351. The fact that we have additional support at using the baseline from the Ichimoku cloud of 80,840, that provides me a secondary confluence of signals to suggest that we may potentially have a good base of support that, assuming that price holds that level, that might be an area where, we might be able to temporarily pause momentum to the downside. So I'm looking at that level critically, 82,351, as an area that I would potentially want to step back in and buy. At this point in time, I'm not interested in owning Bitcoin because of the fact that it took us, we were essentially consolidating for 3 months where we had an inability to break this 107 level, and additionally this 111 area that I had, that the signal came up the first week of February 3rd. So the fact that we haven't been able to make significant headway to the upside, to me now suggests that bulls are exhausted after trying to move the price higher, and I think now the bears have control at the current price. So for me, I'm no longer in the coin. Yes, I took a very small loss in Bitcoin, being very strict with my tolerance because of the fact that I said that in 2025, or my call for 2025 was that from a relative strength point of view, Ethereum may be the coin you want to be looking at for better price gains going forward. So that's about it. The other thing that I want to mention is the fact that MACD is now showing bearish momentum, which again suggests another confluence of signals that you may want to continue to be looking to the downside, potentially shorting any opportunities where this price tries to come back up and doesn't hold 95,371, 731, is an opportunity for you to short. So long as this week closes below that level, and next week again we get continued momentum, you want to be looking in the opposite direction of Bitcoin. All right, so the next coin that we're going to take a look at is Ethereum, and the shape of the chart is very different looking than Bitcoin, just because of the fact that we bottomed on a -9. Yes, we've essentially come back to retrace this level, but assuming that this level holds above, or continues to hold above the low of the -9 setup down here, then to me, again, that's another indication where price has continued to hold above an important level of support. going back to January of 2024, such that so long as we continue to hold, in and around this area right here, and ideally if we continue to hold above 2,234, then I would again essentially want to continue to build up my position, looking for outperformance of Ethereum versus Bitcoin in 2025. So if I put up another chart here where I'm comparing the relative strength of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, let's take a look to see what additional information we gather. And it's not I can't say that this is going to be the signal, but I've been looking at the completion of this 9 count for weeks, such that for essentially the better part of 3 years, Ethereum has been underperforming Bitcoin, and we've finally generated another -9 count after the completion of 13s, again 9. So to me, this potentially indicates a possible turning point in Ethereum's relative outperformance to Bitcoin, but it's not going to go back in one shot. It'll probably take some time to consolidate, gather enough momentum, and then trickle its way back up in and around this area right here, 0.03715, as a potential area where you may want to start taking profits. And so for me, while yes, I am slightly down on the position, the intent was not for this to be a tactical trade, but rather averaging in over time, because I saw that we were potentially in the process of completing a -9 count several weeks back. And so I will continue to average in to the coin so long as we continue to hold above that $2,200 level, which to me, again, is from a risk rewards point of view, I think that's relatively acceptable risk, and you essentially stop yourself out at $2,000. So you're playing with about $200 wiggle room for the potential that Ethereum finally breaks out of this underperformance and pushes back up towards all-time highs sometime in 2025. But we'll see how things play out. Nothing is set in stone, and while these indicators are effective, they're not 100% accurate, but they are accurate more often than they are wrong. So I continue to believe in the utility of the model, and so it gives me comfort knowing that I have certain levels that I'm watching to potentially either prove or disprove my thesis for Ethereum going forward. So for the time being, I continue to average into Ethereum. We're more like we are closer to a bottom, I suspect, than we are to a top in comparison to Bitcoin. And so for those reasons, that's also why I continue to want to scale into Ethereum throughout 2025. I think for what I'm seeing in Bitcoin, we've essentially peaked for 2025. Now, just based on a lot of the indicators that I'm seeing. So a coin that I haven't taken a look at in a while is Solana. And the reason for that was because several weeks ago, after we peaked at this the completion of this 13 in early 2025, that was effectively the signal for you to take profits and get out of Solana. And ever since that point in time, we have just been on a straight move down. And I suspect the move in Solana is not going to finish until we reach this $114 level, which effectively traps almost a year and a half worth of buyers in the coin. And I'm not looking to initiate any new positions in Solana. I don't have any positions on right now currently for Solana, just because of the fact that the model suggests that there is potentially six additional weeks of underperformance in the coin. And when I look at the the relative strength of Solana to Bitcoin, again, another confluence of signals suggests to me that you don't want to own the coin right now. I suspect on the completion of the 9 count for Solana at 114, that will likely result in us, Solana relative strength bottoming out here at this 0.001173 level. At that point, you may want to consider taking potentially going long the coin, but I'm not hypothesizing or projecting any position at this point in time. You just have to let the coin kind of work itself out to the completion of the 9, at which point, from a risk reward point of view, that's probably where you want to take a stand owning the coin. Okay, so the next coin that I want to take a look at is Litecoin. I have been long Litecoin for a number of weeks. I'm still profitable on the position. We are still, the coin itself is still looking bullish because of the fact that MACD is still positive, and yes, while the divergence of the two lines has narrowed, it's still showing positive momentum, but the momentum is slightly fading. And the fact that currently price is above the baseline of 103.19, again, to me suggests you want to continue to be long the coin for the potential continuation, or the completion rather, of the DeMark signals, playing for potentially up to this 137.45 level. But again, looking at price, clearly the lagging span, or the lagging line, which is basically the closing price projected 26 period into the past, has had difficulty trying to get above this 137.45 level. So that is notable. It appears that is a significant level of resistance, and if the coin does in fact make its way back up to this 137.45 level, you probably want to exit the position completely. And at this point in time, just based on the fact of how Bitcoin is currently trading and how that chart looks, I would suggest potentially wanting to scale out of your longs as we continue to approach this 132.25 level, or if we retest this 132.5 level, I would exit at the coin completely at that point in time. All right, the last coin that I want to take a look at is Avax, and again, I haven't taken a look at this coin in probably 2 months, at least over a month, and I continue to just show you guys how useful this model is that was developed over 40 years ago by Tom DeMark, and how the signals are generated in real time, which is something that a lot of these more traditional models or technical analysis tools can't really do in the same way. Some of them are either um, lagging indicators, in which case, it could be several weeks before the the more traditional technical analysis tool gives you a valid signal, whereas the DeMark signal provides it the in real time as to areas of when you want to potentially put on new positions, exit, take profits, or potentially look the other way when you see signs of exhaustion in the market. So in this particular case, the 13 back here towards the end of 2024 was an effective signal for you to essentially exit your longs. Subsequent to that, we've just been for 9 weeks straight. It has just been complete bear control. And I don't think that this, or rather, even though we completed a -9 count here, I don't believe this is the end of the count. I believe it will play out to a 13, at which point that will probably be the full exhaustion for Avax. And I say that because another confluence of signals is the fact that the lagging line has broken through all of its clouds, and it would not surprise me if we get all the way back down to this 1578 level, which I actually had indicated was likely going to happen several weeks, almost, whenever I posted that video last, probably in early January. I said that if we crossed below the conversion line, if the lagging span crossed below the conversion line, then we would ultimately anticipate price getting down to this $15.78 before we get to complete exhaustion of the coin to the downside. So for me, I'm not initiating any new positions in AVAX. I'm not. The chart just doesn't support being long the coin, and ideally, even if we retest or come back down to this $15.78 level, that's probably still not an area where I want to potentially enter. Let's put on the absolute retracement, and just look at how incredible these signals are in specifically identifying support levels. And so we are essentially playing with this 0.382 level, again, based on Fibonacci, where I'm anticipating we end up actually going all the way down to $13.17. And if we don't hold this level, then we're going all the way down to $7.57. So for me, this chart does not support you wanting to go long the coin. I would exit the coin if you have a position in it, because we are potentially setting up for an additional leg down lower. And when I look at the relative strength of AVAX versus Bitcoin, I'll bet you that there is nothing good looking about this chart that makes me want to buy the coin at this particular point in time. I suspect we will continue to push down all the way to this full exhaustion level down here, at which point, again, you may want to continue, you may want to evaluate whether that's the right area to start being a buyer. But for me, I wouldn't. I need to see the completion of this 13 play out. And interestingly enough, we are actually in the process of completing a 13 on the sequential signal. So AVAX is one of those coins that looks extremely bearish. I wouldn't suggest buying the coin at this particular point in time. If anything, what this relative strength chart shows is you want to you would probably want to short Avax and buy Bitcoin as a pair trade on a dollar for dollar basis. And that's about it. I just wanted to provide to put up another video because I had said that I would post a little bit more frequently. The fact that we've crossed below from on Bitcoin's chart, this 95,731 level, to me suggests that if we don't hold this level, if we don't come back above this level this week, then there's more continuation to the downside, and I would not want to be a buyer of Bitcoin until we get down to at least this 82,351, where I would be okay to put on a larger buy order, and potentially you could probably scale in around 89,000. Just looking at the daily time frame, because that again suggests a potential area of support, and that $83,000 to me looks more favorable, more opportunistic of being long Bitcoin, as opposed to buying here right now. So that's it. I just wanted to say thanks. If you like the videos, smash that like button, subscribe, put a review in the comments if you like the videos, what you don't like. If you want me to focus on a few other coins, I'll do that. And that's it. Millennial Trader out.